So obviously I'm behind schedule. It's where I like to be. It keeps me motivated. And I'm doing stuff to try and stick that into that. And I'm doing multiple jobs at once. So let me show you what I'm working on today. So if you watched the last video, you know that that right there is done and that's bondoed and it's ready for final sand and color. Over here I am doing the same repair for the vent, and I'm waiting on that stuff right there to set up, and then I got to make another bracket in there, and then I got to put that piece on after I sling some paint in there. So yeah, waiting on that set up. And I am down here working on figuring out what I'm going to do about a slave cylinder for a clutch. And I'll explain how complicated all this is. So what I've got is I've got a bungee strap holding up my clutch lever right now. And right now I'm just basically at the beginning of the stroke. So if I do this, that's the clutch. I can move that back there. So that's kind of the beginning of where it sits at. And what I plan on doing is this was actually a mechanical clutch originally for the truck that it came out of. A lever come up here, went forward, pedal in the truck, like there was no hydraulics involved. This is the old hydraulic slave cylinder off of my truck. I'm replacing it with a new one because this one was leaking badly. And then this right here is the original arm. And what I've done playing around here, just trying to get an idea, is I drilled a hole right here. Yes, that is going to give me a little less leverage on the center. I understand that. The original had 4.5 inches from the center of the shaft to where this pivot point was. This is 6.5 inches. I still think it's got enough stroke to make it work. So that's going to be my new pivot point. And this right here is going to mount somewhere in this vicinity like that. Now the problem is I've got to make a mounting plate that fits here. And so there was 2 bolts in the side of the transmission here, and I took them out and I got these longer bolts and I made these standoffs, and these are going to go in here like so, and those standoffs are going to be off the side of the transmission. My plan is to use a piece of 4-inch flat plate and mount that there, and then be able to drill holes wherever I need them at to mount this piece. Then I'll weld nuts to the backside or whatever I need to do. But what I need to do is give me a little bit better mounting than just these 2 bolts, and I want to mount off of this area here. So I've been playing with my CAD program, and I've got that set up to where that's just about where I need it to be at. So what I need right now is I need to make a piece of metal out of this, and then drill it and mount it here for these holes, and then I'll be able to set that piece squarely against it to figure out my mounting height, and then where I need to drill holes for these. Yeah, so let's get started by making a piece for this. Alright, so I've got this rusty piece of junk steel that actually pulled out of there, so, but it's going to be big enough, I do believe. Whew, just barely. Man, I might be cutting that close. Yeah, we're going to go with it. So it's going to be big enough to make our piece. So what I'm going to do is, it's going to be a little short on the back side, but I'm going to draw my template over top of it. And there we go. There's the piece I need. Okay, now that I went over to the bandsaw and I cut out around my lines there that you can see where I drew, Now I'm going to take an angle grinder and kind of smooth it up, pretty up, make it look better. Alright, so I've got it cleaned up pretty close to what I want. This washer fits the hole over there, and I'll show you guys this in a second. So I'm going to set that on here like so. And because it fits the hole, I'm going to clean up that little bit right there. And that little bit right there coming back. And I'm going to go ahead and draw me a circle. That's where that needs to go. And I'm going to do the same thing over here at this end. That should be pretty close. Go ahead and draw on that. Then draw my circle. Okay, there's where my mount should be. So I'm going to take just a little bit off of here and here on both these and punch my holes there. Okay, so here's my piece. My holes are drilled. I've already kind of test fit it once to make sure it's going to fit. And so that right there, it's a little thinner than I would like to use, but because the length of the bolts, this is really all the thickness I'm going to use for that. And we're just holding the end of the plate upright. So I'm going to go put it on there, and we're going to align our other plate and make our line where we're going to weld it to. Okay, so you see the bolt hole right there. This washer is about the size of that bolt. If you see get my finger out of the way there. And so I grabbed this out of the bin over there, and I used this to mark that with to make sure it would fit right. And so got my bolts here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start that one. When we put these back on, we'll use some new Loctite on these, clean these up and make sure they are in there to stay. And we'll crank it down. The ratchet barely fits between the bolt and the body of the transmission. Guess I could go get a ratchet wrench. Depending on how the socket sets on it, it kind of causes me some problems sometimes. It's a 14 millimeter, in case you're wondering. There we go. Okay, so that's there. Now, my plans is to take this, and at the end of its stroke, let me go back out there. Whoa! Okay, right there is the, we'll go ahead and put a little pull that back and put just a little bit of tension on that right there. Okay, right there's the end. I'm just going to put enough tension on that to hold that there. That is the base of the movement, which means that right there is bottom plumb out on our slave cylinder. So now that bolt is going to be directly underneath of this slave cylinder. I could do it above, but then I would run out of room. Plus, it wouldn't be a good shove on it. I really want to try and keep this the right. And let me pull you guys around here so you can see what I'm doing a little better. So I want to try and keep this angle here, because as this goes up, it will be more linear movement here and not put a bind on this one way or the other. And so I kind of want it to be right there, which is going to put that bolt directly under the body of this slave cylinder. So I may even have to shave that bolt head down some. So if we do it that way, if that's how I'm going to do it, then my plate's going to mount something like that right there. Make sure I'm not in the way of it. Right there. So yes, I'm on top of the bolt heads right now. So that is essentially where it's going to be at right there. And so, and I left my marker over there on a bench. Daggone it. Timeout. And as if it were magic, I'm back and I've got my marker. So I'm going to take and make me a mark right there. I want the plate there. And I'm going to mark it down here. I want the plate right there. So I'm not going to weld, but I'm going to put a healthy tack on that to weld this plate to that bracket, and then we'll bolt everything back up here. Okay, so I've got me a couple pieces of all thread. I'm screwing them in there, and the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want the bolt head in my way with what I'm about to do. I want to make sure that when I put that on there that it goes below the face of the spacer like that. Same with that one. Okay, now I'm going to take my 2 bolts and I'm going to put them in. There's one. And there's the other. And I'm going to go ahead and set them up to tighten down. That way it is exactly where it's supposed to be, this direction. Okay, there's that one. And there's that one. Okay. If I go back against that, I'm going to take my Sharpie. I'll push back against that, and I want to take and mark all the way around. I'm trying to make sure I got a good mark on this where I can center that. It'd be hard to get underneath of it. I can't really get to that one. Man, that's going to be tougher than I thought. Alright, plan B. Let's see if I can get some marking chalk down in here. I tell you what, that's harder than it looks. I think I'm getting it though. I'm right here, guys, way. Okay, that should allow me to mark the holes on what that's going to be. Oh, let me check something while I got this out. Check for level. Just see how bad off I am. That is close enough. We'll happy with that. We'll make it work. All right, now I'm gonna take it off and show you the back side of it. Okay, so you see I've got me a mark right there. I'm gonna set that there like so. Make sure I'm centered. I'm just gonna take my drill bit that I know goes down in here, and I'm gonna. And there's my center point right there. So now I can switch over to a smaller drill bit and drill the center of my hole out. I'm going to make sure I'm right over top of a hollow spot in the table. And then, just so we know we're close enough. There we are, we're right inside the line there. That worked out good. So, I'm gonna do the other one and we'll take it back over there. Okay. Like it's supposed to be there. Oh man. Oh no, that one might be off by like a little bit. Man, I thought it was close. Okay, we'll leave that one for a second. Good to get this one in. Or maybe this is the one that's off. I'll go ahead and back it out. I'll get these other two tight. That's tight. That's tight. Okay, so maybe it's not that one. Maybe it is this one. Maybe you're good on this one. Yes, this one that lines up real good. And that one that doesn't. Okay, so that one needs to come up a little bit. I'll make a little bit of slop in that hole, which will be fine. But that one lined up great. It ain't off by a whole lot. Yeah, like it needs to go like that way, like a 16th. I'll probably just take a round file and clean that up. Alright, so now that should go right there. And that should go in it. Just about like that. That head on that bolt is a little tall. It's sitting right against the body, which I figured it might be. So I can either put washers underneath of this to build it up, or I can grind that bolt head down some. But before I do that, I need to mark out where my hole goes. So let me get my stuff to do that. Now I've got my holes made. And I'm going to use a lock washer on each side. I'm going to use a washer to hold us off this bolt head. Just like that. We'll see how centered we are with the push rod. Of course, I don't know, that's not going to work out good unless I do that first. Hold on, let me take that apart. We'll just go ahead and line that up like so. There we go, that's better. There. Okay, I'm going to get my nut on the back side of that one. I think I might weld those nuts on. I'm not certain yet. If I weld the back sides to the plate, they can't go anywhere, and I won't need a wrench later to tighten that. Wouldn't that be nice? So let's make sure we're going on and not off. Okay, now I'm going to come from the underneath side on this one. Yeah, it definitely would be nice to weld those nuts on there. That would be nice. I will have to do that. Okay. Alright. There is our slave cylinder mount. I've got plenty of adjustment in that. Is it 9/6? By golly, it is 9/16. So I can loosen that up, and I can tighten that up if I need to a little bit. I've still got a good bit I can tighten up there if I need to. Don't have a whole lot I can take out of it, but I've still got, you know, good maybe a 1/2 inch of threads there I can take down, and surely it don't need that much adjustment because it's got plenty of stroke there for that. And so if I do that, let me go ahead, and I'll just go ahead and push that down. You can hear me taking slack off of this. So yeah, I've got plenty of adjustment there. There, that's locked down there now. So I'm gonna take the pressure off this. And there, and I've got to weld this up still over here. I'm probably gonna put a little strengthening right in here, just a little bit. Although I may not need to, but that helps hold that in place, this end. Those two right there is good enough. This side right here may have not been entirely necessary, but did help me lay it out and get started. So I'm glad I've done it, and I'm gonna go ahead and weld it up and leave it on there. But that is gonna be my bracket, and, oh yeah, I gotta show you this. So let me get you off the stand here. So if you look, and I'm going to put you directly over top of the rod there, you can see our going down in the bore of the cylinder, and then off to the side here going in the bore of the cylinder. Like that is dead center right there. Now as it comes out, I'm well aware that this is going to push and that we're probably going to drop down a little bit, but it's not as important as we come out. There's a flex boot that goes on this. It will allow it to move some, to like go down and kind of not be center of that bore, but definitely at a resting point you want it center of that bore so it's got a real good push. It's not pushing off center. So let me get that thing off there and weld this place up, kind of pretty the whole bracket up, make it look nice, and maybe slap a little paint on it. Then we'll see how it ends up. Okay, so it's the next morning, and I let it dry overnight after I painted it, and got here this morning. I had to make a couple bushings or standoffs because the old one actually had more molded body than this going down, and the washers cleared the head. So I made those standoffs instead of just stacking washers. I think it looked okay. So there it is right there. I've already tested by ratchet strapping over, kind of checking to make sure, and I'm pretty close, and if not, I've got some more adjustment in this. I can run that down some, or I can run it either direction. But I'm gonna call that right there done. So we're done working on the slave cylinder for the clutch, which means...
So where'd you order that part off of?
Order what part? The slave cylinder?
No, the bracket.
Oh yeah, it does look factory, don't it?
Almost.
Almost. So let me, hold on, let's go over here to the drawer. We'll make everybody sick here for a second. We'll get, brown works, we'll get brown. Right here, hold on, where are we at? Clutch. We used brown on the other ones. Didn't even think about it. Clutch is done. All right, so now only a whole bunch of other stuff left to go.
I mean, you got one down.
I got some ideas on the e-brake thing. I'm working on that right now, and we might be doing some paint here shortly to get all this put together. So, if you guys want to see all of that happen, and you don't necessarily have to want to see me doing it, but I will be the one doing it. You guys go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, and right here behind us, we've got some more work to do today. Yeah, and some more work to do down there, and some more work to do somewhere else that I can't put the camera right now. So guys, we'll see you on the next one.
Hey, better late than never.